Orange County, California is a sunny suburban mecca just south of Los Angeles. It's a mix of old mansions and modest family homes where violent crime is almost unheard of. But in March of 1985, a quiet night is interrupted by gunshots.
Send help, please. It's my wife. No, I don't know what happened. I haven't even been upstairs yet. I'm scared. I don't know.
A pretty young mother shot in her own home. Linda Brown is dead at just 23. Her husband and sister are panicked and shaken.
I think it was a front-page story from the very beginning, with all sorts of wrinkles and dramatic aspects to it.
The bloodied blonde corpse will haunt police for years to come. What looks like an ordinary American home is, in fact, a place of troubling secrets. And the scene of what was almost the perfect murder. Before Linda Brown meets an untimely death, she is living a sort of Cinderella story. She grows up in a family of 11 children with a single mother at the helm.
They lived out in the Inland Empire, which is in a fairly impoverished area, kind of living hand to mouth.
The Bailey family was quite poor. They lived essentially a trailer home.
But they had no education, and their idea of a fancy night out is McDonald's and a milkshake.
As a teen, Linda meets David Brown. He's older, in his 20s.
Hey, you want to make a couple of bucks? I need some help washing the car. $5 right now. What do you say?
David was living down the street, and he would come by and pick up all the girls.
Looks like I owe you $5. Hey, do you feel like going to get an ice cream?
Sure.
Good.
They thought he was just the greatest guy.
Linda can tell that David is going places.
David Brown had a liquid that you could put on hard drives on computers, and it would retrieve lost data.
Before long, the invention takes off.
And computer is fixed.
He was a guy who was making, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year. Suddenly, he was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
After several years, Linda falls in love with David and doesn't mind that he has an 8-year-old daughter from a previous marriage. Within a year, they get married, with Linda's mother's blessing.
David sort of swept Linda off her feet and took her to Orange County. And so her standard of living, jumped several rungs at that point. For Linda, this was, a great quality of life.
They buy a house in Garden Grove and fix it up to feel like home.
David provided a very good lifestyle. David liked to buy things. He liked all the latest technological toys, whether it was beepers or telephones or televisions or videos. He had a large video collection.
A few years into the marriage, Linda reaches out to her teenage sister, Patty Bailey, who's having a hard time at home.
Linda had always been very good to Patty.
Okay, well, she can come stay here. I have to check with David first, but he should be okay with it. Hi. Hey, come in. Wow.
Welcome.
Wow. Thanks for letting me stay.
Hi. It's good to see you.
You too.
Let me show you your room.
Patty's room was a teenager's dream.
Okay, open them.
Oh my my God. Oh, thank you.
It was interestingly filled with pretty clothes, and she had a whole collection of books written for junior high girls.
By 1984, there's another girl in the home, Linda and David's baby daughter, Crystal. But this full house isn't done growing just yet. Soon, David's daughter, Cinnamon, would join them.
What's that for?
Oh, well, you know how we took Patty in? Looks like we got another boarder coming.
What does that mean?
It means Cinnamon's mother is really upset with her, and I said she could stay here for a little while.
Cinnamon was going through a lot of emotional ups and downs. She liked to sort of slip away by herself and talk to a couple of imaginary friends.
And I was just on my way home, and then I looked down and I saw this thing on the ground, and it was
Cinnamon, who are you talking to?
no. I hate her, Mary.
Cinnamon's life had been pretty jumbled up, backward and forward. She wasn't that close to her mother.
David, come on, the food's getting cold.
Then 14, Cinnamon moves in during the fall of 1984.
Looks good. Where's my syrup, Patty? You always stealing my syrup. Any syrup, honey?
It's time.
Sin, come join the family. Come sit down. Make yourself comfortable. Come on.
It's a full house, but they make it work.
As a family, they would play card games together, and he would joke and make fun and be the life of the party.
You are never on my side.
Oh, come on. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
You sure you understand the game?
I know the game. Come on, play.
Okay, here goes.
Right.
Come on, honey. Oh, nice. Look, she's getting good. You don't understand the game.
No, I do.
3 to me. Oh.
What are you talking about?
With 2 teenage girls, there are occasional spats.
Stop. Come on.
But the family settles into a stable routine for the next 6 months.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Until the night of March 19th, 1985, when tragedy strikes.
Linda had gone to bed because she had a young baby and she was tired, and I believe she wasn't feeling very well.
David is having trouble sleeping. He has a history of insomnia, and a crying baby doesn't help. Just after midnight, he decides to go for a drive.
He comes back to the house 2 o'clock or so in the morning, and as he goes in the door, Patty is hysterical and saying, you know, something happened, and David says, you know, what happened, and then they dial 911.
It's been gunshots. It's my wife. Now, I don't know what happened. I haven't even been upstairs yet. Please, send help.
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
She's upstairs.
Turn around. What's going on? Down. You got any weapons on you? Who's out over near the room?
She's upstairs.
Who's upstairs? Anybody upstairs with a weapon?
My wife, no.
All right, stay right there. Stay there. Don't move. Don't you move.
Linda Brown is dead, shot twice in the chest. Her baby daughter just feet away in the next room. Who could have done something so brutal?
David is being interrogated on one side of the room. Patty is being interrogated on the other side of the room. He looks like somebody who just lost his wife.
It's okay.
Police follow standard procedure and test both David's and Patty's hands for gunshot residue.
I just need you to tell me the best you can exactly what happened here tonight.
Okay. Cinnamon and Linda got into this really big fight, and Patty! Patty! When she came back out, she had a gun and she pointed it at me, and
Was there anyone in the house besides the 3 of you?
it's just me and the baby.
And you heard shots?
She's crazy. I didn't think she would do anything like this.
Is this murder the work of a wild child with a loaded gun?
The police start to look for Cinnamon, can't find her. They begin searching the neighborhood. The night wears on, and it gets to be dawn. And they go out into the backyard, and they see legs sticking out of the doghouse.
Over here, I got him over here. He's here.
It's Cinnamon, but this hardly looks like a crazed killer. The girl is clearly sick. She's covered in her own vomit and barely conscious. Police also find a note in the doghouse.
It said, "God, please forgive me. I didn't mean to hurt her." And that sort of solidified what David and Patty had been telling them, that Cinnamon was a little bit crazy and jealous, and that they were sure she was the one who had killed Linda.
Cinnamon is arrested and taken into custody right then. She's booked for first-degree murder. David and Patty are left to be interrogated by the police, but the case appears to be solved right then and there.
Police believe the murder is as good as solved. But this case is far more than it seems. And Cinnamon has dark secrets police have yet to uncover.
It just, it was this sort of Shakespearean turn of events with family members turning on.
Linda Brown, a 23-year-old mother, is dead from 2 gunshot wounds to the chest. Linda's 14-year-old stepdaughter, Cinnamon Brown, confesses to the crime in a handwritten note. But a few days later, she's singing a different tune.
And it was a couple days, and then she came back, and she was more with it, but she said she didn't remember anything that had happened.
It's the stuff of soap operas. Cinnamon claims to have amnesia.
Anything at all? Remember any argument or altercation?
She confessed, essentially, shortly after her arrest, that she did in fact do this. So she's on the hook for first-degree murder.
David and the dead woman's sister, Patty, both tell police that it was Cinnamon who pulled the trigger.
There is a good case for the fact that Cinnamon did it. She wrote a suicide note in her own handwriting. She took a concoction, allegedly trying to commit suicide, and she pled guilty to first-degree murder.
It was a juvenile court case without a jury because she was only 14. The judge sent her to 27 years to life in prison. Of course, as a juvenile, she gets sent to this California Youth Authority, and she would be let out by the time she's 25, most likely. But still, she went to prison, the youth equivalent of prison. Sit down.
David Brown doesn't attend a single day of his daughter's trial.
When she went to trial, David claimed that he was too sensitive of a human being to attend these proceedings.
Police learned that David suffers from a number of health problems in addition to the insomnia, including hypertension, bronchitis, and kidney disease. Some speculate that David is also having trouble forgiving Cinnamon for killing his wife.
He was not a support system for her after the murder.
But investigator Jay Newell and Detective Fred McLean think something else is going on.
They did not think it was plausible that this young teenage girl, had concocted this whole plot. There was a suicide note that sort of read as if it was manufactured. And the investigators didn't buy it from the beginning.
Okay, David.
Detectives question David again and are stunned by what he chooses to share with them.
So, Linda and Cinnamon got into it. Really got into it. So I knew that when Linda got into these moods, there was really only one thing that I could do that was going to make her feel better. So I slid in bed next to her, started giving her a little rub of the back, a little petting of the hair, just ease her into it a little bit. I could feel her body relaxing. I rolled her over and I started massaging her breasts, and boom, switch flipped on, and all of a sudden she's engaged, right? you know? Because that's how I like to tease her, you know? I just like to play with her until she was really worked up.
Thank you, David. That was very helpful.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you, detectives.
What the hell was that?
Cops are convinced there is more to Linda's murder than they know. And their suspicions are confirmed when they get some surprising news. Patty tested positive for gunshot residue the night of the murder.
And that immediately set her up as a suspect in this case because she must have handled a gun at some point. It was reasonable to believe that Patty was the actual killer, the actual shooter.
So, this one's incestuous.
To say the least. What's your take?
Well, we know Patty fired the gun. There's residue. She fingered Cinnamon. She's there. She's the key witness, right?
Right.
Here's what I think happened that night. Cinnamon and Linda have this horrible argument.
I have told you time after time to just put your dishes in the dishwasher. Just go do it. I don't answer me. You're not my boss. That's no excuse. She is killing me.
As usual, Linda storms upstairs and David follows her to calm her down. Now, Patty sees this. And she's thinking, this is it. This is my moment. So Patty knows about Cinnamon's imaginary friend, so she manipulates Cinnamon into writing the note.
Cinnamon, hey. I talked to Mary, and she said that you need to write a letter to Linda to apologize for hurting her. Okay? So you'll feel better.
Then she makes her take the pills. Tell her that Mary says she should. David goes to the store. He's oblivious. The pills start taking effect. Patty drags Cinnamon out to the doghouse. And she goes upstairs and shoots Linda. By the time David gets back, Linda's dead, Cinnamon's framed, and Patty gets to be alone with the man she loves. That's how Patty has residue on her hands.
She wanted to take Linda's place and marry David and be the lady of the house.
If Patty was the shooter, then Cinnamon is in jail for a crime she didn't commit. Could police have made a terrible mistake?
For Detective J. Newell, there's nothing he can do without more information. And they know something's wrong, but they need evidence or they need testimony to go forward. He doesn't have either thing.
All they can do is wait and keep an eye on the Browns. And what they learn only adds to their suspicions, not just of Patty, but of David, too.
David had an insurance policy on Linda just under $1 million, and he was the beneficiary. So if she died, he was in line to collect that money.
David collects on the life insurance, and Patty continues to live with him. It seems the couple goes on as if Linda never existed.
David and Patty were living off $800,000 in insurance money, buying lots of gifts and expensive items.
David bought a house in the Anaheim Hills, which is a very posh address down there. And it had its own swimming pool.
After months of observation, cops are convinced that David and Patty are romantically involved. The relationship could have grown naturally after Linda's death. But if David and Patty got together before the murder, then that would change everything. Could David and Patty have worked together to get Linda out of the way?
You almost started saying, well, what's going to be the next twist? Because it had gotten so off the charts dramatic.
David, what are you doing?
1988. Cinnamon Brown is now 2 years into a 27-year sentence for the murder of her stepmother, Linda Brown. Now 17, she's a model student and prisoner.
I was shocked when I found out that Cinnamon had actually committed the crime and killed her stepmother. Just knowing her and the type of person that she was, it was just unbelievable to me.
The night of the murder, Cinnamon confessed to shooting Linda, though later she claimed to have amnesia.
I don't know anything.
We know there's more to it. There's got to be.
I can't remember.
Any help at all would really, it's the difference between you being here and free. Come on, Sam.
Oh no, I already told you I don't remember.
At least now, Cinnamon gets support from her beloved father.
Hey, Daddy's taking care of his little girl, huh? Took care of me too. Have a good one. Enjoy.
It was her father that was sending her things, cigarettes. She had a color television, radio. I mean, everything that we could have, she had.
Though David sends her gifts, he keeps Cinnamon in the dark about his life on the outside with Patty.
David and Patty are together, that they're living in a fantastic house in a place called Summit Ridge, that they're living high on the hog.
Not only is David taking care of Patty extravagantly, he fathers a child with her named Heather. And just 2 years after Linda's murder, David walks down the aisle with Patty, the sister of his dead wife.
David had married Patty, adding yet another level of intrigue to the story.
Detectives dig deeper into David's past and learn that Patty and Linda weren't the first naive young women to catch David's eye.
He seemed to surround himself with very needy, clingy people. There were stories that came out later of his having dated, much younger women in fairly low-income areas, latching on to these young women, where they really became, bonded to him in what seemed to be a really unhealthy way.
David Brown had a pockmarked face. He did not use his looks to attract women. He used manipulation, he used his money, he told them he could improve their situation, and he used that kind of charm. He dealt with younger people who would be impressed with the things that he could buy and the things that he could do for them, not the way he looked.
Hey, do you feel like going to get an ice cream?
David was very obsessed with sex. They talked about in the family something called cinnamon kisses.
Ready, set, go. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. David, what are you doing?
What?
I've asked you not to play this game before.
We are all just having fun, and you're getting really upset for nothing. I don't know
I don't care. I told you that I don't feel comfortable when you play this game. I find it ridiculous. I've asked you not to play it. Can you play something else?
Fine. Fine, we will play something else. You happy?
Whatever.
Wow. Okay.
He was not, a terribly appealing character from the outside, but he had a hold in a strange way over these women.
I don't know how David managed to be so sexually active, because he was sickly, and he took lots of medicine, but he did sometimes have sex 3 or 4 times a day with these young women. And so that was where all of his energy seemed to go.
Where are we going?
Surprise.
Got past 19, he wasn't interested in her anymore.
Linda was 23 years old when she was murdered. Was that simply too old for David? Though he has an alibi for the night of the murder, police now start to think that David could have gone out for the night and still shot Linda himself.
David's my guy. Through and through. Now, here's what I'm thinking happened that night.
You're not my mom.
That night, Linda and Cinnamon have a big argument, right, as usual. So David forces Cinnamon to write an apology letter. You know what? You, young lady, are going to write a letter of apology. She goes outside. And then David has his big idea. This is his chance, and he's taking it. He goes make sure that Patty is on board.
Listen, it has to be now, okay? Do you understand? If we're gonna be together, if we're gonna be free, it has to be now. She's gotta go now. I need to know you're with me. I need to know you're with me.
Then he goes, takes the pills out to Cinnamon. Once she's passed out, he goes upstairs and shoots Linda. And runs off to get his alibi.
Go get the baby.
By the time the police arrive, Cinnamon is half dead in the doghouse with the confession letter. David goes scot-free with Patty. That's what I'm thinking happened the night of the murder.
Not bad.
Even though David has no gunshot residue on his hands, police know he could have worn gloves. Detectives know David will never confess, so they focus again on the one person they hope can still help them, Cinnamon. Alone in jail, she's learning to think on her own.
Cinnamon, are you still having nightmares?
Sometimes.
Do you recall the last one you had?
I was in a hallway.
She'd never been away from her father. She'd never been away from his influence or his manipulation or his mind games. She goes to prison. She starts to get an education. She starts to get psychiatric help. She starts to develop friendships. She starts to grow on her own as a person.
So, Cinnamon, I have to say that I'm really impressed with your analysis of him. This is college material. Do you realize that? Do you have plans to go to college?
I hadn't thought about it.
Then, after her 18th birthday, she hears some news that shakes her faith in her father for good.
Hey, guess what I heard? Your daddy's got a new baby with Patty. That's right, Patty.
What?
Yeah, guess that explains why he's not taking care of me no more. Good luck.
When Cinnamon heard that, she realized that she had been duped. She did not know that he'd married Patty, that they had a child.
Crushed and betrayed, she makes a bold decision.
It's Cinnamon Brown.
Word came down to Jay that Cinnamon wanted to talk.
For years, investigators have waited for Cinnamon Brown to tell them what she knows about her stepmother's murder. In 1988, they finally get the call.
You understand you have something to tell us?
I have not been entirely honest with you guys. I shot Linda, and it was my dad, David, who told me to do it.
It's exactly what they suspected. David convinced 2 teenage girls to kill his wife. But now police have a problem.
She had a self-interest at that point in trying to get out of jail early, so, certainly wouldn't have been persuasive evidence for a judge or a jury. And the investigators wanted to get David, in his own words, to confess to his knowledge and complicity.
Hi, Dad.
Cinnamon agrees to help police with a sting operation.
I wanted to know if you could come visit me.
He was legitimately afraid now because here was somebody he was losing control of.
Hey.
How you holding up?
I'm okay.
I know it's tough on
I wanted to talk to you about the night that Linda died.
Boy, that was a crazy night. You haven't been talking to anybody, have you?
No.
Okay, good girl, because you can't tell the truth, all right? If you tell the whole truth, all of us get in trouble, all right? There's no reason for all of us to pay when one of us paying would be just as good for all of us. Be strong. I need you to be strong.
And that's enough for the police to act on. They finally have, this is 1988, enough information to move in on him and Patty.
What can I do for you, gentlemen? Place me under arrest for the murder of Linda Brown.
Wait, what?
David is held in jail, while Patty is remanded to the same youth facility as Cinnamon.
Cinnamon at that point saw Patty as one of the accusers who had manipulated her and put her in prison for 3.5 years at that point.
I actually have talked to a couple of people that were still in the facility when Cinnamon and Patty were both there. Everybody loved Cinnamon, so when they found out what was going on with Patty, from what I heard, Patty was mistreated.
Peppermint Patty. Walk through. Walk around? Yes. What I tell you about walking in my... You didn't say anything? You didn't say anything?
What begins to happen between the 2 young women in prison slowly is that they suddenly realize, hey, we're victims of the same person.
So, you like it here? You think I deserve to be here?
No.
You think you deserve to be here?
Maybe.
Maybe not. So why are we here?
You know why?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. So what are we going to do about it?
They were the only ones capable of really bringing down the person who created all of this. They decided to join forces against Brown and to testify against him at his trial.
And became with the crime. Before the case against David Brown even goes to trial, David makes one last daring move to save himself.
David Brown is arrested, and he does exactly in prison what he's been doing his entire life. He thinks he can manipulate people to get exactly what he wants.
David approaches a convict scheduled for release. He's got a deadly fix for his problems.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a lot of money out there, man. A lot of money waiting for me. And I need a couple of people taken care of in order to make that happen, all right? I need those 2 idiot detectives who brought this case against me. I need them gone. I need the DA gone. And my wife, Patty, gone.
And so Liberty went along with it and said, yeah, he could set it up.
But the district attorney gets wind of the plan and forces the convict to set David up.
David, it's a done deal.
They're all gone.
It's your old friend.
What's up?
How you doing? You look good in there. Hey, we were talking to a friend of yours, Liberty something. Nice guy. We had a nice chat.
You enjoying your room? Looks like you get an ensuite toilet there.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice. Smells good.
Yeah.
When David's case goes to trial, Cinnamon and Patty are the star witnesses.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
Please proceed.
They explain in detail how David introduced them to the idea of killing Linda by preying on their worst fears.
She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me. The thing that really scares me about that is if she takes me away from you guys, if she kills me, who's gonna take care of you? You're gonna be back on the street. I can't even think about that. I love you so much. But now, if you love me, you gotta show me.
He was brainwashing her. All she could hear day after day after day was someday she might come home from school and her daddy would be dead.
Over time, the subject of killing Linda becomes a regular topic of conversation.
They would, go on family outings, the three of them, picnics, and go to the beach and talk about ways to kill Linda.
All right, I have a crack for the one of you who can come up with the most creative way to get rid of Linda. What do you got?
We could have her head chopped off by helicopter.
Wow. Do you have anything that can beat that?
We could catch a shark and put it in our bathtub, and then...
After months of manipulation, David turns the game into reality.
So in March of 1985, finally the night comes and he says, we have to get rid of her tonight.
All right, girls. It has to be tonight. It has to be tonight. This is our chance. Do you understand? Now, if you love me, you will do this.
If you love me, you will do this. With those words, David Brown manipulated, even brainwashed, two teenagers into committing murder for him.
What's gonna happen is, if I get caught for this, they're gonna put me away for the rest of my life. And I'm too sick for that, okay?
He claimed his own health was too fragile.
Doing a lot of thinking about this.
And he told Cinnamon, because she was the youngest, that she would get a light sentence.
Why can't Patty do it?
Well, Patty can't do it because she's old.
He told Cinnamon that Patty had a baby to take care
She's
of.
gonna be looking after the baby.
And she couldn't do the murder, so Cinnamon had to do it.
When the cops get you, they're gonna put you away in juvie. And they'll put you away for like 6 months or a year, nothing. You'll come back out. I'll keep taking care of you when you're on the inside. And then when you get out, I'll keep taking care of you when you get out. Okay? If you love me, baby, if you love me, you'll do this for me. Can you? Yeah. Good. Good. All right. Now, I'm gonna give you some pills, all right? Make it look like a suicide. You're gonna write a note, okay? But I'm not gonna give you enough pills to kill you. Just knock you out. It'll look like you messed up, all right?
He leaves the gun with Cinnamon.
You know what to do.
Then he drugs her.
It's just gonna put you down, all right? I'm going out.
He makes her write the note and then goes to build his alibi. Cinnamon takes the gun and shoots Linda. Linda's wounded. Cinnamon tries to shoot her again, but the gun jams. Linda's down. Cinnamon panics and goes to Patty. Patty unjams the gun and is able to fire it, leaving powder residue on her own hands. Then Cinnamon goes back and shoots and kills Linda. completing David's plan exactly the way he wanted it.
David's defense was that I didn't do it. I wasn't there. I didn't pull the trigger.
There are the killers. Cinnamon and Patty. My family. There are the killers. They took my wife. And I want to tell you something else. If you let them go, I believe they will kill again.
The jury deliberates for only 7 hours before returning the verdict.
Will the defendant please rise?
She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Cinnamon and Patty are also held accountable for their part in the crime. Patty stands trial and is sentenced to 4 years for her role in her sister's murder. She is released from prison at the age of 25 and regains custody of her daughter Heather. Crystal, the daughter of David and Linda, is raised by David's mother. In time, Cinnamon has one last brutal realization. The pills her father gave her were probably meant to kill her.
Cinnamon did not think she was really taking an overdose of anything. David had assured her that she would survive. Had she not vomited the pills that she took, she might very well have died.
She's had no contact with David since the trial. Cinnamon is released from prison at age 21 and goes on to live quietly with a family of her own.
Cinnamon has gone on to lead a good life, and I think has done fairly well. Watching her become her own person, watching her get out of prison, and go on and be able to live a good life. So, I mean, it's a horrible story in many ways, but there's a bit of redemption in that.
David Brown never admits any guilt in Linda's murder.
He was clearly a sociopath. He was clearly someone who had no interest in anyone but himself, and was willing to toss family members, blood relatives, in-laws under the bus if it helped him.
He was a physical coward, that he didn't have the capacity to commit an act like this on his own, that he always had to get other people to do his dirty work for him. And he always had to pick people who were so vulnerable that they would actually do something like this. It shows how profound an influence a parent has on a child. That's the core of this whole story. His manipulative line was, if you love me, you will do this for me. If I'm not around, you will lose everything. A parent can't do anything worse to a child than that.
Cinnamon, of course, was the missing link. Her testimony and what she got her father to say in these recorded jailhouse tapes were ultimately what made the case against him. If she died, it might very well have been the perfect murder.